That's okay. So what's the deal? Where are you? What's the question? And what's the situation?
I mean, honestly, I'm so new to this. This is interesting. I'm like just learning as I go along with this. But something I like talking about a lot on my podcast is just imagination, like what you imagine versus like the reality. And I just put that out there, like, oh, maybe somebody will find it. And this is just like for other people to like find topics to talk about. I didn't know it was like a co-hosting thing. This is interesting.
Okay, no, that's cool. So, first of all, your avatar picture is upside down, which is kind of cool.
Thanks.
It took me a second to turn my phone upside down and go, oh, that's it, right? And what's your podcast?
I'm Mercrutio.
Okay, that's the name of the podcast, right?
Yeah.
Okay, super cool. Right. Yeah. Everyone's new to this anchor thing because they only released it last week, right, or a couple of days ago or something.
I thought it was like a month ago. Honestly, my perception of time is horrible. That's part of the reason why reality is just like such a big topic to me, because like time and everything else is just like kind of really blurry. But I thought it was like a month ago when they changed it, and I was like, what is this?
Oh, okay. Because I got a message. I got an email from them like 3 days ago saying that we have this new system. You should try it out. And I'm like, okay. So, have you used this with anyone else, or is this like your first time chatting through this?
First time. You're my first.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, happy to help. Right. I was on with two people yesterday, and people are just so spaced out by this system. They don't get it, right? Because so where are you basically? Where are you based?
Maryland.
Maryland. Okay, because I'm in Slovakia, right? So I'm in the middle of Europe. Yeah. And yesterday I was talking to someone in California, and they were like, "This is outside of America? Are you serious?" I was like, okay, here we go. And then I was on with somebody from Nigeria, from the capital of Nigeria, who runs a pop culture cast from there. So this is bringing together people with a bit of a wide variety of tastes and a bit of a feeling of adventure, I guess. So,
yeah, that's a wide reach, like California to Nigeria. That's
but
like that's wild.
Okay, but obviously people need to communicate. They want to communicate, and the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to see who's out there, and I'm not so much interested in creating content as exploring what's new and what's possible with all the new technology that exists, because there's a lot of it out there, and I think we're only using a small percentage of it. Anyway, you wrote about reality and imagination, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a time limit on this, right? There's like 15-minute time limit or something on the conversation, I believe. So
I'm gonna trust your knowledge, though. You seem more knowledge than this to me.
Okay, yeah, because I got this bar on my phone which is like filling up, and I'm guessing when it gets to the end, that's the end, right?
Mine has never reached the end. I swear I've gone on for like 18 minutes about absolutely nothing.
Okay. That's okay, and I think there's a way to communicate afterwards as well. I think you can communicate with people after you talk about what you talked about and so on, and maybe build up ideas and segments for podcasts. And I was checking out if it's possible to edit what you create or something, but it seems only to be stored in the phone or tablet versions, and you can't edit it. You can only like add in the full thing to an episode or something, which is kind of I'm not sure that people know what they're doing. So how can you create something great with a 30-second intro when you don't know who you're talking to? But anyway, so I'll give you my take on reality and imagination if you want, if you're interested.
Yes, please.
Okay. So what do we have? We've got imagination. Begin with words, right? So imagination is the noun. We've got imagine. We've got image. right? The root of image, I know, is imag or mag or magic. So the idea of imagination is creating that which is not yet real, or turning that which is not yet real into what is real. So it's probably about having a vision or an idea and getting it, first of all, getting it clear in your head, and then reality is what is probably outside of your head. So then getting what is in your head out into the real world, and what's in your head and what's in the real world are probably two different things to a certain extent. An example of this would be the way that when one person has a problem with something, say like, I don't know, somebody's playing some music too loud or something and it's bothering you and you have a problem with it, and then other people are like, what's the problem, right? Yeah. So it's
me a lot, actually.
So I'm like, this is bugging me, this is bothering me, and other people are like, chill out. They're like, relax, it's not that big an issue.
Chill out. Yeah.
It's not that big an issue. It's not that big a problem. How can it not be a problem for people? So that's sort of my take on the difference between the two. And I think that I think that we have to understand that what's in our mind is in our mind, and it's our perception of reality, and it might or might not be real. I don't know. People talk about projection and other concepts and ideas, and the concept of, I don't know, it's what is out there in the world. There's perhaps, things that are more tangible, things that we can touch, things that we can grab hold of. And
right.
I follow a little bit the work of John Rappaport, who writes a lot about imagination, and he says that the imagination is the most powerful element of the individual, and the individual is the most powerful element that exists, because it's individual people that make all the changes and make all the great differences in the world. So it's tuning into our own imagination and being able to have a great idea and then act on that great idea to make a positive change in the world around about us. That's important.
Well,
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I was once in a philosophy class, and they told us that if you can imagine it, and they were like, if you can imagine it, is it real? And people used to think stuff like, everything you imagine is real in a sense, but you'll never get it out as you want it, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, there's a Picasso quote that everything that you can imagine is real. I think what it means is everything that you can imagine has potential. Yeah, you can, if you work at it, you can get the idea out of your head. But I think that most people's problem is that they probably have a lot of great ideas about what they want to do in life. They just don't have the impetus, the momentum, the drive, the support to actually take the action necessary to make that step. I mean, I tend to look at the world around about me sometimes and see people as just kind of following the same path every day and not making any changes that they could make to make their world better. I work with, I have this business, the Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching, which is basically just helping people take the next step that they need to take in their life and getting clarity on it. And I see a lot of people feel like they're trapped. They don't even know they're trapped. Yeah, they're doing the same thing every day, and they have great potential. I've worked with people, and I've seen them produce like fantastic pieces of writing, and I'm like, oh, you should pursue this. Either get it out in a blog, or write a page a day, and you got a book at the end of the year, or do something with this. And they're like, yeah, I know, I should probably do something. No, I'm like, no, but seriously,
right? The whole
seriously.
They get that really shrug attitude, and it's like, you shouldn't, like, this is something you like, and life's like, you can't just live it like that, That was a place I used to be in a lot, actually. Like, I would never want to, like, I wouldn't do anything, but it was like, this is so boring. I really don't like this. And every day just kind of felt like a watermill kind of. And every day you were like submerged a little deeper. And I was just like, no, I can't do this. This is so boring. Let me just like focus on what I actually enjoy doing, you know?
Yeah, I think the reason for living essentially is to make your dreams become realities, right? And if you take that original point about imagination and reality, then you could say that imagination is a living dream rather than a sleeping dream. And the point is maybe to understand what's in your head, to understand what it is that you need, and to try to pursue it, and not get caught up too much in the flow of other people's dreams. Because I think you're either making your own dreams become reality, which might be helping other people create their dreams, that might be part of it, or you're working on somebody else's dream. You know, take the classic example of going to work every day in somebody else's company and, you know, helping produce a profit for that company. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But we have to understand that that might be sacrificing some of your own dream to help somebody else.
Right.
So, so what led you to this question?
Well, honestly, like I said, like I really like the idea of, well, not really, it's just interesting to see that what is in your head and everything that you imagine and everything that you want, essentially, like when trying to make it a reality, like how it kind of differs between the two, like what you imagine can't really be reality exactly, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to think how that would work for me in a real sense. Maybe like
if you're
sorry,
like,
go ahead.
It's fine. If like with an artist, right, they have this like idea in their head, they want to paint something, and they're picturing like this grand thing, like a bridge. They'll paint a lake, and there'll be some trees. You know, they're just like imagining this really grand thing, and then they actually go to paint it, I guess, and it's not what they thought it was going to be. Like the water doesn't look right. Like it just doesn't look as it looked in their head. It's still what they wanted.
Yeah, that would be me. Like I've got this, or like you know, like people try to draw animals. Like I'd be like, I'm gonna try to draw a horse, and I'd be like, no, that kind of looks more like a dog, perhaps, than a horse, or
just like a really organic shape, just a blob right there on the page.
That would probably be closer to what's right than anything that I could draw. Yeah. So, yeah, I think that what people have as a vision in their head is extremely important for the direction that they're going in. And here's a question: like, how much of what is in your head is a vision created by you, and how much is what you've picked up from other people or other things around about you, say from other people's conversations, or you know, ideas through media, or you know, something in a film or something somewhere. If you've got like lyrics from a song going around your head, you know, is that something from you or something from, you know, somebody else that's in your head? So I think you know, the people's dreams get shaped by other sort of external influences and forces that exist within their environment. And obviously, so some people are more aware and some people are less aware. You know, I have one client that I worked with over the last couple of years who was running a number of businesses, and due to a mistake his company made, he ended up in prison. And and when he got out of prison, he was in prison unfairly, as far as I can work out, right? But when he got out, he was like, oh my God, this has completely changed my perspective on the world. And he sold all of his businesses and took any money that he had and said, I'm going to dedicate myself to doing no harm to anyone or anything as a result of this. So he was able to take a pretty extreme negative situation that happened to him and turn it into a positive. He was also very unaware at the start of his journey, at the start of this problem, about a lot of things in the world around about him. And now, as a result of this, he's changed a lot of his philosophies and perspectives. And I would say probably is a better person as a result of that.
Yeah, I think like major events like that often tend to change people majorly, I guess.
Yeah, it's the shock. It's the shock of the situation. So my phone is telling me that we've got 30 seconds left, and this bar is reaching the end of like the line that it's on. So I'm expecting that it might not. I'm expecting it's going to cut out in about 15 to 20 seconds. So if it does, which will be right in the middle of me talking and going blah 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 blah, I'll just say thanks for the conversation and keep in touch. If it cuts out, it's still going. Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
It's reached
Mine is never cut off.
Okay, because it said, because in the information I read, it said you have 15 minutes for your discussion. I was like, oh my god, okay, and it's reached the end and it's still going. So it's beyond infinity. Excellent, super cool.
Great.
Okay, that's cool. So tell me a bit more about your podcast and what you talk about on it.
Well, the topics vary a lot. Honestly, the main purpose of it when I started out was to just share poetry.
Okay.
And stuff, because I mostly enjoy writing, but it stretched from that to just me talking about general events that like happen in my life and how I kind of react to it, and what other people would do in that situation, and how I know I differ from like other people in my choices.
Is it similar to a kind of sort of, I don't know, it's sort of describing or explaining journey that you're on, or like journaling or something like that?
Yeah, it's something like that. It's like vlogging, but you can't see anything really. It's just me explaining everything.
Yeah, I think it's really important to record the processes that we go through, and I think a lot of information has been lost over history, and I think the great advantage of the modern age is that we can use technology to record what we're doing. We can look back, we can listen to it again, we can analyze it, and we can hopefully learn something from it and be better as a result. I mean, that's partly what I use my podcast and recording for. It's that I listen back to it and I think, okay, is that right? Is that right now? You know, maybe I listened to, like, yesterday I listened to something that I recorded like 2 or 3 years ago, and I was like, am I in the same place? Have I moved on? Have I learned anything more?
That's a very interesting thing, because I'll do the same thing. Like, you just like go through things that you've created and written, and it's just like, wow, I'm just like, I don't know if I still feel this way, or yes, I really do still feel like about this even more strongly now, you know?
Or another thing I've noticed is that no matter how many times you can go through the same topic with people, you never have exactly the same conversation. So there's always something, some element that's different. There's always something that changes. And I can discuss a lot of the same subjects with a lot of people and never have exactly the same conversation twice. It always appears to go in a slightly different direction, which suggests that we're always growing and we're always learning as a result of it. And another thing is that we forget a lot of what we do and what happens around about us. And if we don't record it, then it's gone. That's it. It's like gone forever. Yeah. And so there's a lot of conversations that I've had with people, and I've recorded it and listened back to it, and I was like, wow, I made a really good point there. And I can't even remember anything about the entire conversation that we had.
Yeah, that's something I used to, because I would go through that exact same kind of thing, and I would be like, I should just record everything I say to people, because I'll look back and I'll be like, I want this. I want to use this. Like,
you are the first person who has reiterated that point, that because I made that to somebody a while ago, saying that I need to record everything because it all seems to be important and I don't want to miss any of it, and I don't know which parts are important and which parts are not. So I should
record everything.
Yes, I was like, I should just record everything. People are like, you can't do that. Well, I guess it would.
A violation of privacy.
Yeah. It's like you can't do that, and you have to ask people. And I'm like, but it's my conversation as well. I'm entitled to have some. And then
we co-own this.
Yeah, and there's also like I've often thought in situations of disagreement, it's really disagreement usually means that that this some element of self-control has been lost, and I'd always want to go back and sort of analyze if I disagreed with somebody, exactly what I said and when I said it and how I said it, and see if I can learn from that kind of mistake, so I don't make that same kind of mistake again. Because that's happened a few times with me where I've thought I'm sure I'm not responsible for that, but but I don't know. Maybe I am. I don't know. I don't have a way of having that of having that conversation again. I don't have a way of going back and checking myself to see if I got it right or wrong.
I mean, people are always going to disagree on certain topics, so I just, like, with stuff like that, I just decide to, like, let it go. You know, your opinion differs from mine, and maybe I'll look back and I'll be like, I kind of agree with you now, and I'll feel that little bit of shame, like when they say, yeah, you should agree with me, but it's whatever, you know.
Yeah, I tend to find that happens when the emotion takes over in the conversation. Not that it's bad to have emotions.
Those are the best conversations.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't have emotions, you're not going to connect, are you? So I mean, it's that's a vital element there. So, and that's kind of cool. So you read poetry stuff or you read poetry stuff, or what's the deal with the poetry?
I create my own poetry and I'll share it with everyone. And lately I've been doing these anthologies, and I'm in the middle of one right now. Actually, I'm so slow with uploading them because I have to like write it and then edit it and stuff. But I'm in the middle of one right now called Recreation. And
okay. So what's that about? That's recreating yourself, or that's just a theme, or?
See, because they all kind of connect, I guess, at some point. All of the anthologies that I've done. So it's like one goes to another, and it's all about parts of my life. So Recreation is basically like all of the anthologies before it were like I'm kind of falling apart, and then Recreation is me like pulling myself together again and just getting back.
Yeah. What's that old saying? Happy people have no stories, right? So it's.
I've never heard that before, but that is very true.
I think it's an old saying, and there's some old Irish punk band had a song with that title, which made a really catchy chorus, I think, in the song. So, when everything's going well, it's going well. It's how are things? Things are great, and the conversation, the conversation ends, and people are like, "Oh, okay." That's that then, I suppose. So, yeah, it's a great way of writing out poetry and ideas is a great way of self-discovery, and it's before maybe this technology existed, it was maybe like the only way that people had of recording how they felt, right? It was just sitting down and writing with a pen and paper before they had like an iPhone or an Android phone, or before any of the technology existed where people could record things. It's only now that it's just exploded for everybody.
I think about that sometimes, and I kind of feel bad for them. It's like you couldn't just like pull out your phone and like you have a thought and type it out. You have to like run and find some paper and pen, and that's horrible.
Oh yeah, or maybe there was no paper and pen. I remember having a drawer full of notes of pieces of paper of like things that I'd written down. I'm like, what am I going to do with this stuff now?
Yeah.
Right.
I have stuff like that now. I have like, there's literally, you can't see it clearly, but like there's like this whole like shelf in my room just filled with papers and notes, and I'm look at it every now and then. Like I have to go through that eventually. Yeah,
I gotta organize it and do something with it. And I published a book of poetry about 8 or 9 years ago. I self-published it just to get it out of the way, right? It's like I've got to do something with this and get it out of the way, otherwise I'll be walking around carrying this stuff forever. It's like put it all together, publish it, get it out, and move on. just move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I'll do sometimes, and I'll find some really cool lines, and I'm like, why haven't I used this yet? And I have to like pull it out and make something with it.
Yeah, it's you never know what you're gonna use or need, or when you're gonna need it, or even which thoughts are important, or which ideas, and if you don't capture them and maybe capture them in the moment, maybe they are gone forever. it's like when people, I often think that, because I worked in the music industry for a while, and I worked with a lot of people who were songwriters writing songs. And, when people write the song, everyone thinks, that's it, I've captured it, I've got it. And then the next day they go back to it and they're like, that's not right.
Very relatable right there.
Yeah, it's like they think they've got it. I've got the emotion, I've got the feeling, it's all there, and then the next day they're like,
no.
It's I was a bit over enthusiastic about that one, wasn't I? Oh, okay, never mind. So anyway, it's good to be able to record the stuff. And so, do you think there's a way that people can use these conversations within their podcasts? I don't know. I mean, how do you think it's going to work out?
I have no idea, because like you said, like people have to like meet each other kind of first, and that takes up a good minute there, and then you can't edit it or anything. So it's just kind of.
I was checking on my computer, right? And because I logged into Anchor on my computer, and I was like, okay, so where is this stuff now? Because I just had these 2 conversations with these people, which were wild. And so where is it? And it's nowhere in the desktop version of the program. It's only in the phone application or the tablet application that it's got a little section where these things are. And it's not obvious. I had to like search through my phone to actually go, okay, where is it? Right, it's here, and then here, and then here, and okay, it's there. And now what do I do with it? I'm supposed to publish it. I'm like, okay, I just had a 5-minute conversation with somebody from California about Uber, and I'm supposed to publish that, not knowing that we were going to talk about Uber because that's what he wanted to talk about. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, because like with this, like we said, we were going to talk about reality versus imagination, and it's gone on a bunch of tangents, and it's like we can't separate it into different little segments. Like, what is this? Yeah,
you sort of need to cut it up or fade it in, fade it out, or segment it, or do something. And then I was like, okay, can I download it off my phone onto my computer and do something with it? Doesn't appear to be a way to do that. Okay, where is it stored? Is it stored on my phone or online? Okay, it's stored online. Okay, that means I've got no access to it.
Yeah, it's a really complicated thing, but I think it's still nice if you think about it, because we can still connect with different people. I mean, it's a long time.
Once you know what's possible with it, and you become more familiar with it, you can refine it. Like for example, just your theory, if we had another conversation and there was something that you wanted to talk about, and you say, okay, I want to talk about this idea, and then we could do it. It's like, okay, we're here to talk about this. It might go on a tangent. Let's just go with the flow and see how it works. So that would be maybe one logical possibility. Or now that people connect through Anchor, they don't need to do everything through Anchor, right?
Right.
I mean, you could connect through Anchor, and so you've got someone's contact, and then you could Skype with them and record the Skype call, either audio or video, or I don't know. There must be a million other ways that it's possible to do that with different calls and different systems that people use. I have this theory, and I need to test it and check it very quickly with you. Are you using an iPhone?
Yes.
Okay, so that's an American thing, right? Everyone in America has an iPhone, and it's like I'm in Europe, and like if someone's got an iPhone, it's like, oh wow, they've got an iPhone. That's so cool, right? Because
low-key a monopoly.
It works, and if it works, there's nothing wrong with it. And then because most of the people where I am are on Android devices and Android phones, and I'm just interested in this sort of divide that most of the US is on an Apple-based platform and system, and outside of maybe America and the UK, a lot of people are using Android-based systems. It's good that they can both connect. It's good that they both work together. That's pretty cool. But I'm a bit, it gets a bit frustrating sometimes when some things it's available on the iPhone first, and it's like, oh, those guys have got an advantage because they've got all the stuff there. But that's pros and cons, positives and negatives of everything. So if you're interested in discussing any theme or topic or idea in the future, I can help you with anything, then, or you can help me with anything, maybe, I don't know. Then now you know that it's possible, right?
Yes, thanks. What's your podcast name?
Podcast is, I just changed the name. Wait a second. It's actually Business Coaching Masterclass, because 50% of what I do is business coaching for clients, helping them take the next step forward, and 50% of what I do is life coaching. And you can imagine they cross over, right?
Yeah.
You know, if a problem is a problem, usually in sort of, problems exist because people exist, and if there's a problem that a person has, it's usually not just affecting one part of their life, it's affecting many parts of their life. And so it's really hard to separate what the business needs to do from what the individual person needs to do. So there's a big crossover there. So there's that. Then I have a YouTube channel, which is the Academy of Language Therapy and Life Coaching. There's material that goes up every day on that with different ideas related to coaching and short videos, and it's basically just, it backs up the work I do with my clients. I do something with my clients and I record all the work that I do, and I take segments of what I do with the clients and I put it on YouTube and I say, go and listen to what we talked about there. And
great dedication.
And well, yeah. Here's my philosophy. It's the information age, and the role of a teacher originally was to transfer information. In the information age, the information already exists. Teachers are almost redundant if you follow that basic principle. However, we still need tutors, we need coaches, we need mentors, we need people to support the work that we do. And so I sort of see it as my job to coach people forward, and part of that is taking as much information as I can get and sharing it with as many people as I can. And whoever comes across it. Maybe it's useful for them, maybe it's not. But if people don't have if it's not out there, people can't find it. So just put it out, and those who need to find it hopefully will find a way to get there.
That's great. I mean, I normally I don't know what I search. But I always end up searching something for some reason or another, and I'll always find it. And it's like, wow, school could have taught me this, but it didn't. So
yeah, well, what we learn essentially is what we teach ourselves, and school. You have to take from school what you can. And
I've taken the social aspect more than anything, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Learn what you can from what is happening around about you. And what I've learned from, I'll tell you what I did. About 7 or 8 years ago, I took my clients who were all, my younger clients who were all school age, I don't know, like 15 to 18 or 19. And I interviewed them and recorded the interview. I made video interviews with them and recorded the interview. And I specifically asked them about education and studying and their perspective. And what I found from these interviews was that those people who wanted to succeed in education had a very positive outlook. And those who, and were doing well, right? Those who were doing well had a very positive outlook on everything. And those who were doing less well had a very negative outlook on everything. And they were going through the same. They were going through the same systems.
Right.
But and the only difference that I could, and I think I interviewed 10 of my clients, and they were in-depth interviews, like an hour and a half. Yeah. And I really pushed them on a lot of issues because I could, and yeah, what I got out of that was that you get what you want, basically. And if you're interested in making the best of the system and getting the best out of it and using it for your advantage, then you get something great. And if you approach it with a negative attitude and you're not interested, then you tend to get much less out of it.
Yeah.
So,
There was it was kind of like a study at our school, and we found that a lot of students found that they were just there not necessarily for learning, but more for the social aspects of everything, and that's more how they learned. And depending on like the social and kind of how it affects like class, like of course like the grades kind of came into it and like how they were learning, but it was mostly like with like how many times they went out into school events and how many people they got to socialize with. That kind of came down to their positivity outlook, I guess.
yeah, I think, yeah, that marries with what I said, which is that you get out of it what you can get out of it. Yeah,
Right.
you search for where you can learn something and you try to learn something there. And what you have control over, you try to control, and what you don't have control over, you just live with it because you realize you don't have much of a choice most of the time. and that's the way that it goes. Wow. Thank you very much for this conversation.
Yeah, thank you. This is great.
It's
Learn something about Anchor.
It's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you. And like I said, if you want to connect at some point in the future, if you got a specific theme, then hit me with the theme, and we can blast out the 20-minute conversation about what we think about it and how it works, and maybe it'll be useful for somebody.
Right. Well, good luck on managing to talk to other people on
Well, I'll just explore it and see which way it goes.
Yeah.
Oh, well. So thanks very much again. And I think there must be a finish button somewhere on my phone.
Yeah, I have no idea where it is. I'm going to let you.
Okay, there's a little purple button at the bottom which says finish and save. So I'm going to press that one right now.